and he puts his hand on the deck and draws 2. Then he throws an 8, a 10, and a queen. He is dissatisfied with the cards he drew and looks disappointed. The father thinks, what happened? We didn't do anything. Is Mr. Lipping dissatisfied with our performance? Nosa then says, I'll start with an 8. It's your turn, Uncle Beerus. Uncle is already sweating cold. If we can pass this test, he'll spare us. I can't give up, but I'm feeling. Every time I play a card, it costs me a few years of my life. My life force is being drained. Trembling, he says, I play a jack. The daughter says, Father, but he interrupts, saying it's okay. Leave it to me. She then says she'll pass. Lieping thinks about their strategy. Besides the royal flush, they can make a sequence from 7 to the queen. Only the 10 and the jack are left. Should I break with the pair? If I do, they'll play a 2. Thinking of various strategies but unable to come to a good conclusion, he says he'll pass too. The father asks, are you really not going to play? Lieping says no. The father is confused, thinking, this Lieping, he's making me play these cards to consume all my life. Since that's the case, I need to get rid of all this as quickly as possible. He then plays 2 queens, 3 6, 3 7s, according to the rules. This combination of cards is called Flying Dragon. I don't know what's going on, but it seems like all the life energy from his leg was drained. The price for this was a leg. The bigger the cards, the higher the price to be paid. A flying dragon appears between them and both are confused. What is this? The creature then uses a power and hits Lieping on the head. Elizabeth watching everything. The father is afraid, thinking he made a wrong card combination. I just offended the legendary hero. But our hero is very calm and says, well played. The father says, it's your turn now, Mr. Lieping. However, our hero responds, I'll just pass. You can go again. The father says, all right, and plays a 3, his fingers and leg already starting to feel lifeless. The elf daughter says she'll pass too. Our protagonist then says, my turn, and plays a 10. Both look at each other knowing they can't beat that hand. Lieping reveals 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack, and queen, a sequence. Now it's trouble for the 2 of them. Giant destructive waves begin to appear, and they are both drowning. The father tries to save his daughter, but it's hard to resist the waves. Until they both wake up breathless. I can't play. But our protagonist is calm. Now there are 3 kinds of the pair summoning a group of knights. The father tells his daughter he can't win, but the elf girl says, hold on, I can. The father tells her not to do it, it will cost too much life force and is very risky. But she says, I can't just hide. I also want to protect you and I'll play 3 of a kind with a pair. The knights then go against each other beyond. A battle in the skies ensues and only her knight remains. The father asks if his daughter is okay and she says yes. Lieping praises her move, saying, you really have to protect your allies even if you have to sacrifice your own cards. The most important thing is that determination. Our protagonist thinks, I didn't expect them to learn how to play cards so quickly. The father looks at his dwindling hand. Determination? At that moment, Lieping says, now it's too late. The father and daughter are scared of Mr. Lieping. Elizabeth thinks things are getting bad. This aura is frightening. Our protagonist then plays 2 jokers. The dimension begins to shatter and a killer clown appears above. Elizabeth seems to recognize what he summoned, saying it's a 3-star demon, a clown king. He was about to attack the other 2, making a heart. But then he notices Elizabeth and says, what are you looking at, huh? Turning the heart into a knife. You better be careful, or I'll kill you. Elizabeth tries to defend herself. Who do you think I am to belittle? But she's angry. All this time she's been absorbing everything the protagonist has been doing for her, and theoretically giving all the possible energy. But she just reached the 3-star level. But this creature that Lieping summoned is a 3-star demon. She's confused. How can he summon something of the same power level as me so easily? The father looks at his daughter and says, Elif, I'm sorry, but I don't have this power. It's okay, Gad. How can you blame yourself? It's all my fault. I annoyed Mr. Lieping. The poor man is spitting blood, saying, my life force. It's being drained. Lieping sees him spitting blood and asks, Uncle, are you okay? Thinking, wow, I don't think his injuries have healed yet. He sees the old man's hand that had 3 3s and 4 kings and says, wow, he could have won a long time ago. He was just letting me play with him. Man, I was so naive thinking I was good. It seems like I just disrupted his rest. With that, he says it's all right and takes all the cards. The dimension dissolves along with the demon, and he stands up, saying, sorry for causing trouble. The father and daughter can't understand the legendary hero, but they are relieved to see they are still alive. Elizabeth is angry, thinking, that ridiculous Lieping. He pretended to want to play cards with those 2 just to take advantage of this opportunity and hit me with that clown. The next day in the morning, the 2 are leaving and Lieping says, Uncle Bass, do you really not want to stay a few more days? The fruits I planted are almost ripe. He bows, we can't disturb you 2 anymore. Mr. Lieping has already been very charitable and gracious. We will never forget. Our hero is a little embarrassed and says, it wasn't that serious. The father says, don't worry. After we leave, we won't tell anyone about what happened here. The elf girl with presents in her hand asks Mr. Lieping, do you still want to give us something so precious? But he says, it's just a little tea. No problem. Approaching the old man, he puts something in his hand and says to him, Oh, and here's something for you too. A memento for you, uncle. The father looks to see what it is, and it's the deck of cards. Li Ping says, you can keep that. My card skills are very bad. I'm not cut out for this. Then Elizabeth appears, saying, hey. He looks at her, and she just opens her mouth. Go ahead. Get out of here. They both run away, and Li Ping is left somewhat confused. She enters, well, now that everything is back to normal, it's time to make some food for this queen here. Our protagonist simply agrees. The father and daughter are running as fast as they can. The daughter asks her father to stop, saying, I can't take it anymore. But he tells her, we can't stop. First, there was that game of the legendary card test, and then a threat from the demon queen. And then he remembers the night before. The two of them were in the room, when suddenly Elizabeth appeared and cut off their heads, saying, I, Elizabeth, command you two to leave this place tomorrow. You must not reveal any information about this demon queen and the legendary hero to the world. The two replied, yes, your majesty. The queen explained, if you have any plans to go against this queen, your head will be destroyed immediately by the curse on your neck. The father then tells his daughter, who would believe that the truth of the story is that the great hero Li Ping grew tired of the world's conflict and didn't want to cause harm anymore. At that moment, the daughter says, wait, isn't this place familiar? He takes a look. Huh, did we run this far? The little dog nearby thinks, bringing them here should be enough for them to stop bothering the master and that evil woman. In fact, they didn't run that far. The little dog just grabbed the two and took them on a rocket ride. The daughter then says, are the bodies of the Black Guild apostles still here? The father starts looking around. There must be several types of high-level demons nearby. We have to get out as soon as possible. The little dog looks at something approaching and thinks, what is that? Whatever. I'm going back home to keep being beaten by that wicked woman. Those who felt sorry for the little dog being beaten up now know that he quite enjoyed it. In front of the two, a legion of shadows appears. One of the demons that appears lets out a hee-hee, and the others follow with a goo-goo. The father says, I recognize that one. He's the great apostle. And he's a 2-star spiritual demon. Besides, there are several 4-star and 3-star spiritual demons, while the father and daughter are just 2 great mages of 1 star. She grabs his arm and says, Dad, the difference in strength is too great. Leave me. You can escape. But the father is now motivated. I know the difference in our strength is really huge. But after seeing the realm of those two, these apostles here are nothing. Your father used to be called the Iron Heart of the Heroes. He points the deck in their direction. Daughter. The demon is scared. The father says, since your mother returned to the Elven tribe, your father has been taking care of you and being cautious. But I was wrong. Escaping won't solve the problem. If we can solve this, I'll take you back to the tribe and go after your mother. He activates a quad invocation, descendant of the god of the 4-card arrow. An elf appears in the invocation. It's literally her mother. The mother grabs a giant bow and arrow and sends it towards the creatures. Upon contact, the creatures are instantly destroyed. Everyone is being evaporated. The great apostle tries to hold onto the arrow and seems to do so effortlessly. But the arrow in his hand continues to gain strength. After some resistance, his head explodes. The father puts away the deck, the elf disappears, and he falls to the ground. The daughter runs, saying, Dad, Dad. The father says to her, it seems your father must change professions. From now on, a new profession has been born on this continent, the Master of Cards. And the elf creates a hole in the path. A week later, everything is calm in the protagonist's little house. He thinks, this magical world is so amazing. My attempt to create a hybrid fruit was very successful. But without someone to share the joy of the harvest, it always feels like something is missing. Knights, demon queen, warriors, elves. I originally thought I was content with a peaceful farmer's life. But after coming into contact with the outside world, my heart isn't so calm anymore. I want to see what's on the other side. People are always like that. They get one thing and want two. But I'm so weak. Forget it. The demon queen appears in front of him out of nowhere and says, you seem a bit down. What are you thinking? He responds, I don't know. I guess I wanted to go out and see some things, but never mind. I'm too weak. She gets excited. Finally, you're interested in leaving this place? Well, come with me on a trip. But inside, she's thinking, I understand that the outside world isn't comparable to you, but your attitude there is already too arrogant. Our protagonist, hearing the invitation to travel, is surprised. Really? In his head, it's a completely different story if I'm out there with the protection of the demon queen. She tells him to stop talking nonsense and change clothes quickly. The two then put on their adventurer clothes. The queen says to him, wow, I have to admit, not only your cooking skills, but your sewing skills are also impressive. He replies, of course, those are my specialties. Meanwhile, the little dog is barking there, wagging his tail. She snaps her fingers, creates a teleportation, and says, well, let's go. We'll reach the nearest city. Li Ping is impressed. Wow, what a convenient ability. The two then start heading towards the portal, but he says, wait a minute, Elizabeth. I have some questions after we go. First, you're not going to leave me alone, right? Second, will you control your emotions? Third, can you be discreet? However, her interpretation as always was completely different. First, don't go without my permission. Second, you better control yourself. Third, don't use magic or you'll ruin my adventurer's fun. She just agrees, saying, I got it. But Li Ping says, lastly, after seeing the outside world, will you come back with me? In his head, he's afraid that if he goes out with her and she doesn't come back, he'll be attacked without the barrier. She only agrees with this thinking. Before defeating that evil hero, the outside world meant nothing to me. Li Ping says, really? You'll come back? She then says, I'll come back, but you'll have to agree to a condition. Li Ping asks, what? The queen tells him, when we return, I want you to make me a super luxurious fruit pudding. Li Ping is a bit confused. A pudding? She says yes. Any problem? He says no, and they leave. The two leave, and the protagonist's little dog stays there. They enter the portal and appear in the city of Bolster. Several knights, creatures. Our protagonist is impressed. Wow, this place is amazing. It's like I've entered another world. Look over there, Elizabeth. There's even an equipment shop. And wow, look at this. They're selling ingredients, but this doesn't seem to be just pork. He starts going to all the stalls happily. However, Elizabeth is thinking, 500 years have passed here, but it seems that the changes weren't that significant. Our protagonist, looking around, thinks, this doesn't seem chaotic at all compared to how the old man described. She's feeling proud. This is because I established a very strong foundation here during my reign. In the original world, various forces were in conflict and the situation was chaotic. But I used my absolute strength to suppress everyone and establish a set of rules that made everyone treated equally. So I was the one who really saved the world, not the so-called legendary hero. After this speech, she looks to the side, and where's the so-called legendary hero? He's more interested in a little girl there selling teddy bears. Wow, the details of the stitching are so delicate. They're very well done. Did you make this, little sister? The girl says, yes, I did. If you want, I can even offer you a lower price. But then a pig-headed guy appears, kicking and shouting. Who gave you permission to open a store in this place? Stinky girl, your church owes protection money to my gang. And Nick, you had the courage to come here and open a store on my street? The poor girl's brothers are all shaking, and he grabs her by the neck. But she says, but you never even protected us. Why should we have to pay you any money for protection? The pig tells her, since last month, this street here is now the territory of the Beast Gang. If you want to survive in this place, you'll have to pay monthly tributes. The little girl says, that's not true. This church belongs to the nun. When she returns, you'll be in trouble. The pighead says, so it seems like you're still misinformed, huh? Or are you pretending to be ignorant and not wanting to understand this situation? Today, I'm going to kick all the orphans out of this place and destroy this broken church. Our protagonist tells the pig to stop it, and the pig asks what he's going to do if he doesn't stop. Elizabeth, watching from afar, thinks, my God, why are you getting involved in these matters? Leave these people alone. But our hero signals with his hands, asking for her help. She turns her head as if to say, no, I'm not going to stoop to that level. The furious pig says, I asked you what your intention is. Our protagonist is completely lost, until he thinks, I have an idea. And then he shouts to everyone, this pig here is bullying a little girl. Come on, condemn him. But everyone in the city pretends not to see or hear anything. The pig, laughing at him, says, did you really think anyone would be against me? My God, buddy, this is Beast Street. Judging by your clothes, you must be a foreigner from the south. Right, that woman next to you isn't half bad. Our protagonist tells him to calm down. Let's talk. I have some local spices in my backpack. I can share them with you. But the pig says enough with the stalling and tells one of his henchmen, beat this guy and take that woman to the gang. But that was the biggest mistake he could have made. Elizabeth asks, do you really think you're qualified to capture me? You've stepped on a tiger's tail. The skies begin to darken and the pig is confused. Why did the skies change? What's happening? Li Ping tells her to stop. Don't do this. You'll destroy the entire city. He's waving his hands there. Please calm down. At most, just give them a little scare. There's no need to fight. They're ordinary people, you know. Elizabeth says, I'll spare him because of you. Seeing everyone's magical power there, you can see that Elizabeth's is much greater. And the little girl with glasses can see that. Suddenly, it starts to rain and the pig is scared. He stares at our dude, saying, you want to try to protect the church and these orphans. Our protagonist just wants to fix things. How about this? Tell me, how much is the protection money? The pig answers, it's 10 gold coins for 2 months in total. Elizabeth then loses her temper and says, 10 gold coins and you're causing all this chaos? You really are an idiot. Our protagonist goes to her and asks, you must have a lot of gold coins, right? She replies, stop messing around. I have so many treasures that I can't even count. Li Ping says, how about you lend me some? I'll sell some vegetables later at home and pay you back. Angry, Elizabeth asks, are you trying to use my food to trade for these useless things? I won't accept that. Besides, I had no money when I met you. The pig is brave, saying, so do you guys have any money? Li Ping says, we really don't have any gold coins. Can I use some local products from my backpack to pay for it? The angry pig refuses, are you kidding me? Enough of this. But suddenly, someone throws a bag of gold coins at his face. The pig asks, who did this crap? But when he looks, there's a lot of gold, and then a knight appears. This guy really lives up to the name of a knight. He looks at the pig and says, stop bothering my friends and get out of here. You've received your money. The pig says, so now the knight in shining armor is coming, huh? Okay, I'll let this one slide. I'm going, but you won't be so lucky next month. The little girl then thanks everyone there. Our protagonist thanks him, saying, I brought some fruits, you can have them if you don't mind. The knight suddenly says, I wanted you to be my partner in something. Staring at Elizabeth, the little girl is there confused. Partner? What can I help you with? Elizabeth crosses her arms and says, I'm not interested. Let's go, Leping. But our hero tells her that they can't do that. He just helped us. Let's at least see what he has to say, right? The girl then says goodbye to the other orphans, saying she'll be back soon. They are about to enter a bar. I don't know how he's going to sit in the chairs with his horse's body. The knight tells them not to pay attention to anyone. Elizabeth angrily says, it's all your fault, Leping. You insisted on bringing me to this terrible place, and I'm wasting my time. Our hero ignores her. The knight then says, we've arrived. When he opens the door, a bunch of girls cling to him. Our hero is confused when he hears the guys say they are his wives. He's then preparing some tea and says, well, let me introduce them to you. The first one is Gaksha, and her profession is a shield warrior. This one here is the assassin Lolo and the mage Glee. The guy literally gathered a bunch of wives to make a perfect group for going into the dungeon. This guy's Elon Musk when it comes to productivity in the fantasy world. Lastly, there's Galia. She's an incredible elven archer. Liping asks, so she's of the elven race? I also met a girl who had elven blood. Elizabeth impatiently says, enough of this chatter. This is a waste of time. What's the deal you wanted to talk about? We need to leave soon. One of the horse guy's wives seems not to like that and says, Master, what's with this woman? Her attitude is very irritating. Elizabeth stares at her and says, that's how a queen should act. Do you have a problem with that? The assassin says that Elizabeth is quite funny, even calling herself a queen. Master, is this girl's brain functioning? Look at the shape of her ear. She probably has a mediocre lineage with a little elven blood. What is she doing in front of me? I personally advise this woman to be quieter. Elizabeth says, if you really want to bring destruction to this place, don't blame me. The little one runs ahead and says, calm down. Let's just have some pudding. Phew, I'm glad I made some. He then explains we came from a distant place, from a tribe with no name, just to travel here. She is the princess of this place. Her name is Elizabeth, and I am her servant, Leping. The wives continue to criticize. No wonder you act so weird. Apparently, you're the princess of a place that has never even seen the world. Your name is Elizabeth? You must be from a terrible place that worships that demon queen, right? Our hero asks them to stop, let's take it easy. She's still adapting to cultural differences. The knight then says, well, let's talk business. I want to invite you three to join a treasure hunt in a dungeon. But he's thinking, that demonic aura she emitted on the street is not something a queen of an isolated tribe should have. Could it be? Liping is curious. A dungeon with treasure? And then he asks the girl next to him, do you know what that is? She explains, dungeons with treasure are dimensional spaces created by ancient magical entities. They usually have a lot of valuable things, but they're all very well hidden. Liping says he understands. The knight says, that's right, and I spent a lot of money and effort to get the information about this place. However, the condition is that to open the barrier, we need at least 8 people. Our hero then says he understands, you just need someone to complete the numbers. The orphan girl starts counting 1, 2, 6, 8. Wait a minute, is there any way I don't have to go? Liping finds it strange and says to her, hey, isn't this place supposed to be full of precious things? Shouldn't you be happy to be able to go? But the girl replies, you don't understand. These places, they're very dangerous and I'm just a level 4 mage. I'll die if I go there. Our hero says, so that's how it is. I really didn't know about all this danger. The knight tries to reassure them, don't worry. We just need people to complete the numbers. And your treasure in the end won't be less than ours. I guarantee you'll get at least a few thousand gold coins. One of the wives says, the master alone has taken out several dark apostles. He'll ensure our safety. The orphan boy says, a few thousand coins at least? Seriously? Then all the church's financial problems will be solved. Our hero looks at Elizabeth and asks, let's help them. It's just to complete the numbers. Okay. Impatiently, Elizabeth agrees, saying he's the one deciding. Just don't bother me while I'm enjoying my pudding. The knight then looks at the wife who has an orb in her hand. Our hero asks what that crystal ball is. The knight explains, you just put your hand over it, and it will measure your magical power. The orphan girl recognizes it immediately. Wow, the crystal is showing 8769. That's at the level of a demonic spirit. The knight tells them, so my magic level is already at 4 stars. My wives are also all great mages, 4 or 5 stars. Since we're forming a team, it would be good for us to cooperate well and get to know each other better. The orphan girl then places her hand on the orb, and it shows 300. One of the wives says, 300? I had a higher value when I changed professions for the first time. The girl apologizes, saying her level doesn't go up. Our hero says, I want to try too. He thinks to himself, well, I never learned magic during all these years, but I'm the so-called legendary hero. My potential shouldn't be that low. He puts his hand on the crystal, concentrates, and it shows 0. The knight is even confused. 0? Even for a pure martial artist, it shouldn't be like this. Our protagonist hits himself in the face. Oh, what was I expecting? I've been farming all this time. Obviously, I wouldn't have any magic. He sits down and says, I'm done. No magic in this life. The assassin woman says, what are you going to do then? Apparently, you're useless, right? Lai Ping replies, I'm pretty good at farming. Speaking of which, these fruits I recently harvested. You can even try them. Boy thinks, my God, look at this bumpkin. You can keep this trash for yourself. You really are just a servant. The knight says, Princess Elizabeth, it would be nice if you tried too. Lai Ping says, Elizabeth, just cooperate with them for now. She agrees, thinking, how annoying, he wants this queen to accompany this game with these ignorant mortals. She taps the orb using her power and a glow begins to emanate, making it impossible for anyone to look at. Lai Ping is afraid that if Elizabeth's identity as a demon queen is exposed, it will cause a lot of trouble. Elizabeth says she knows, and since they rarely go out, she'll join this game. She lowers her power and precisely puts in 8,768. The orphan girl says, wow, it's identical to the knight's power. She's also at the level of a demonic spirit. The wives think it's impossible. How is this woman at this level? Lai Ping sighs, phew, thank goodness. The knight tells her, wow, amazing, you really were the princess of a kingdom. With your entry into our group, the chances of getting the treasure will increase a lot. The orphan asks, how are we going to get to this place? The knight looks at one of the wives and she uses something. With that, she activates a teleportation scroll and opens a portal above everyone. In the next moment, everyone arrives at the dungeon. Lai Ping is excited, happy, wow, I even got a little dizzy with this. The orphan feels some strange aura in that place. Elizabeth, on the other hand, has just arrived but seems bored. The knight then says, let's not waste time, let's go straight to the treasure room. Elizabeth suddenly says, you know what? I'm not feeling it. Let's go home, Lai Ping. One of the wives gets irritated with this and says, you weird woman, you came all the way here and now changed your mind at the last minute. Do you know how much a magical teleportation scroll costs? If you're not going in, you better not even think about leaving. Elizabeth looks at her and asks, are you going to stop me? Our hero steps forward to calm things down. Everyone, let's not be impulsive. Listen to me for a moment. Since we came here, Elizabeth, please, let's just take a look. The orphan girl with glasses says, Elizabeth, did you notice? Inside this cave, there's a magical power similar to yours. Our hero is confused. Wait a minute. Power similar to Elizabeth? What's that mean? The knight tries to use his charm to convince the queen, puts his hand on her shoulder. Excuse me. Trust me. No matter what danger we encounter in there, I'll protect you. Please come with me, Princess Elizabeth. They then hold hands. However, she completely ignores him. After passing through the portal with the numbers 788, it closes behind them. Lai Ping asks, can't we go back to where we came from? Elizabeth tells him, stop talking nonsense. This is a special magical space. Unless you're stronger than whoever created the barrier, it's impossible to leave. So unless you find the target of this place and complete all the requirements to break the barrier, no one can get out of here. The wives say, as long as we're with the master, we'll solve all this. But obviously, none of them like Elizabeth very much. The orphan girl asks, what are we going to gain from here again? She's told not to worry too much. Of course, it's treasures and gold coins. You won't be left behind either. Seeing that there are many paths, the orphan boy gets confused about which one to take. But he concludes, Elizabeth is here to ensure our safety, so it doesn't matter, let's just venture forth. The assassin wife says, Master, should we split up? And he replies that for now, it's better not to. He then tells Li to use an ability. She agrees and raises her hand, releasing a light that starts spreading throughout the dungeon. She's confident, thinking, learn how to find the best path quickly. But Elizabeth finds it ignorant and continues to spread power until she collapses from exhaustion. The knight then asks, what's the structure of this maze? But she replies, Master, this maze seems to have no end. I've extended my magic to the maximum and still haven't found any edges, no end. I don't know where this ends. Everyone thinks it's impossible. Her magic extension goes up to 3 kilometers. The elf says, what if I use my spiritual divination? It's not great because the accuracy is 34%. The assassin interrupts, I suggest we split up and work in groups. I can use my clone technique to help everyone. Lai Ping asks Elizabeth, do you know how to get out of here? She replies, of course, this maze is just an illusion, but this bunch of ignoramuses will never get out of here. Lai Ping tells her, hey, then why don't you help them? We need to repay the favor of that guy as soon as possible. Elizabeth says she's changed her mind. She doesn't want to help anymore and just wants to see everyone die. Suddenly, the orphan girl with glasses points her finger. If we go through the 3rd cave, we'll reach our destination. Elizabeth looks at her strangely. Our hero asks, how do you know? The girl replies that was just a guess. I just felt that there's a special magic coming from that direction. The mage wife gets angry and retorts, stop talking nonsense. I didn't sense any magic from there that you're talking about. A weakling like you shouldn't be making these random comments. The meek girl apologizes. The wife then says, even though I haven't explored everything, I'm sure the last passage is the one with the fewest monsters. Let's go that way. The knight asks everyone, what do you think? The assassin says she prefers to still split into smaller groups. And the other one says, I prefer that we listen to Glee. Even if we go to the wrong place, at least we'll stay together. The machine then asks the knight, please master, trust me. The knight then says, we'll stick together and go to the last cave. At this point, the orphan girl says, no, you can go anywhere but the last cave. She then summons her rabbit puppet and sends it in that direction. As soon as it reaches the mouth of the cave, it closes with its teeth and crushes the puppet. Our hero is curious. What was that? Ah, Elizabeth says it's just a parasite beast. We usually find this inside giant monsters. The assassin stares at the mage and asks, didn't you say there would be fewer monsters there? The people in the knight's group are all confused and lost. Elizabeth then says, let them suffer alone. Let's go. Lai Ping tells her, it would be better if you could lead the way then. She just starts walking. The girl with glasses says she's not sure if that's really the right way. The assassin looks at the knight and says, Master, should I use a clone to follow them and gather information? The knight replies, she just saw the horror of that killer worm. She wouldn't be able to make such a choice calmly without being confident. It seems Elizabeth's background isn't as simple as it seems. We'll follow them. And with that, everyone enters the same cave. And inside, there seems to be a lizard with a golden eye. In the next scene, we see the sneaky horse killing a bunch of creatures. He asks the wives if they're managing, but the poor things are having difficulties. It's not easy. While our kid is hiding behind the bulky one there, he asks, is Elizabeth safe? She says his acting is ridiculous. The little magic-like thing says, it's all your fault. Look at the path you made us take. It's full of monsters. Elizabeth, who took the potion of deliciousness because she's getting thicker with each chapter, says, the more magic in a place, the more creatures. That's basic, didn't you know? The little magic thing says she knew. She's just angry because Elizabeth's just standing there doing nothing. Elizabeth says she's standing there because the little magic thing said she'd handle everything, so handle it. The night horse says, Glee, calm down. Looks at Elizabeth and says it's an honor to escort her. Now the mage is even angrier. This cursed one is embarrassing me and even seduced my master. Then the archer asks, Master, why don't we rest a bit? The battle was very long. However, Elizabeth says, no one here will rest. This queen doesn't have time to waste with you. The assassin wife says, if you're so good, why don't you continue alone then? Obviously, everyone agrees with that. The horse says, Miss Elizabeth, please listen to me. It's better if everyone rests and stays together in this place. Let's at least drink some elven potions to recover our stats. Lai Ping gets curious, elven potion. Elizabeth stares at him and asks, what, do you want to drink this? He replies, I've never drunk it, I wanted to try, you know. I don't know what it tastes like, maybe it will inspire me to create different things. Elizabeth thinks this damn kid is so used to eating good stuff that now he wants to eat garbage, but okay. Around the campfire, the little magic thing is saying, wow, this elven potion is so good. The buff one next to her says it's good indeed, but she's more concerned about how long it will take to find the treasure. Gilia, who is the elven wife, says, this one is my special potion already going towards Elizabeth. You can increase any kind of status just by drinking it. If you're so powerful, you don't even need it, do you? The knight tells her, Gilia, don't be so rude to her. She apologizes there and throws a little potion. The queen takes it without caring much and throws it into our protagonist's hand. He asks, Elizabeth, don't you want it? I'll drink it then. Already drank it all. However, our kid immediately throws up, damn, the taste of grass is so strong in this. You can't drink this. Do you want it for yourself, Annie? Annie says, sorry, Lai Ping, I haven't used much magical power, so I don't need it. Obviously, Gelia didn't like that and says it was a waste to give such a good potion to idiots like you. Elizabeth then throws it on the ground saying, all right then, I'll spend this on you. Now Finna got angry shouting, wait, what did you do with my potion? Elizabeth is very calm staring and says, what do you think I did? Lai Ping goes to the backpack and says, calm down and no fighting guys, I have something for everyone. Let me find it. Hold on, he then shows some bananas and says, I've been wanting to share these with you since then. Finally, I have the chance, here you go, already giving it to the knight. Everyone takes it, sort of thanking, and he hands an apple to Annie. She gets all emotional receiving something. Lai Ping gets scared. Why are you crying, Annie? It's just an apple. Annie asks if she can take it home. The orphanage folks haven't had fresh fruit for a long time. Lai Ping says he understands, of course. He then goes to get more so she can take it back for everyone to eat. But Glee and Gelia throw away and squash the banana, saying that doesn't compare to an elven potion. The knight says he'll only eat it to fill his stomach. When they find the treasure, he'll buy something tastier. The strong and the assassin decide to take a bite with him. The assassin seems to be a professional at handling bananas because she was drooling and salivating before biting, trying to melt the banana in your mouth. At that moment, the three feel something, and they end up in a sort of tropical paradise with a parrot there saying, banana. In front of them, what seems to be some crickets singing say, let's dance samba. Dance is samba to remove any fatigue and frustration. They start dancing there, unintentionally, and this assassin kills with blades and curves. Even the knight is all graceful. Follow me, 1, 2, 3. The three keep dancing there, the creatures singing, and the assassin squeezed the banana too hard, and it exploded. The force was such that its contents ended up covering a good part of her outer skin layer. Did I perhaps enter the wrong site? They keep dancing like crazy in the illusion, but back in the cave, they're all going crazy too. The knight is acting like an idiot. Glee and Gelia are confused. Master, what are you doing? Suddenly, the knight realizes that he's leveling up a lot. The The assassin and the muscle mommy, who were already lower level, gain even more levels by swallowing the protagonist's banana. Our hero claps. Wow, what an amazing performance, loved it. Truly, the culture of other countries is extremely interesting. Seeing a centaur enjoying this dance was incredible. The queen, as always, interprets everything differently. Lai Ping, he knows very well that they were going to die a bit further. That's why he wanted to level up to continue with this little theater. He's really cruel. The elf Gilia gets curious. What's happening, master? Why did your level go up so much? Annie tells her. It's because they ate Lai Ping's banana. Gelia looks angrily to the side. What nonsense are you talking about? As if these bananas were bathed in holy water? But the muscle mommy says, Gelia, you have no idea. This banana made me advance straight to a demonic 2-star level. The assassin is confused too. After she drooled and smeared the banana, she advanced straight to the realm of demonic sovereignty. Was there some enchantment in it? Even the knight is confused. I was already strong, but this made me advance 3 stages directly. It's unbelievable. He looks at our kid and asks, Lai Ping, what's the origin of this banana? He's confused. I don't know. The knight says, what's the problem? You can't tell. Lai Ping says, I don't know what to say. It's just a regular banana. There's nothing special about it. The knight says, I can tell it's a hybrid harvest. Lai Ping explains, yes, it's a hybrid harvest. The process is all natural and organic. It's time for 2 more gluttons to eat Lai Ping's banana. They go slowly. However, just as the 2 are about to touch lips, the banana rots in her hand. The elf says, ew, this is rotten. What is this? Annie says, it's because of synchronization. Elizabeth says, girl with glasses, you know quite a lot, huh? Anne responds, saying that Elizabeth is very kind, that she only learned from books. The knight asks, synchronization, or what do you mean by that? Anne explains to him, I read in a book that some special items and treasures need certain special conditions to provide the effect. Perhaps Lai Ping's banana had to be eaten by 3 people at the same time to produce the effect. Glee points to Elizabeth and says, stop pretending, can't you see she's eating alone there? Anne apologizes, she can't understand properly. But she's thinking, the condition of a treasure can sometimes be ignored if the person using it is much stronger than it. Elizabeth stares at her and says, don't look at me with those eyes. Anne apologizes, but her eyes are a little red. What's that? Angry, Gelia says. Oh, maybe it's because of the accumulation of my elven potion that produced this effect, that's it. The knight then asks Lai Ping for another fruit, and Gelia is angry, stop believing in this nonsense, master. But our protagonist is happy. For him, who has been cultivating for so long, sharing the fruits is the greatest pleasure. But not in Elizabeth's case, who already snatches everything from his hand saying, no, I'll eat this later. Already throwing it over her shoulder, let's go. You've already rested and the journey has to end. Lai Ping feels embarrassed and apologizes, saying he'll give them more when he has the chance. The knight then tells the 2 to go ahead. He'll catch up with them later with the wives. Lai Ping says, hey, don't you want to come along? But Elizabeth interrupts, saying, let's go already, Lai Ping. Lai Ping then says to everyone, see you later, bye. The drooling and greedy assassin has a wicked little plan. Master, should we steal that backpack from them? The muscle mummy also says maybe they have something even better hidden there. Look at the greedy knight also enjoying the big banana, saying, no rush. It's not the right time yet. Looking at Elizabeth, he thinks the way she carries that treasure shows she doesn't care about it. Someone from a remote tribe wouldn't act like that. He licks his lips thinking. Recently, one of the 4 major powers in the kingdom is offering a reward for information about the lost princess. Maybe she's right in front of me. Brothers, I thought he was just going to take the information and sell it, but his plan is to make her his woman. Oh, my warrior, he wants to climb the ranks of the aristocratic empire in this way and gain even more of these delicious fruits. Friend, give up, man. But taking something from his back, he says, I'm going to use this to completely conquer you, laughing like a psychopath. The 4 wives are in love, saying there's an incredible pheromone emanating from the master. Maybe they need to satisfy him even more. Look how Minani, he has some item to have so many women. But in the background, the labyrinth has a bunch of eyes staring down the path, and the leader of the Shadow Wolves is watching when he sees our people coming and runs away. Lai Ping asks the Queen, Elizabeth, this labyrinth is getting darker and darker. Is the exit really here? Elizabeth says, I've already explained to you, the labyrinth is just an appearance, we're already getting there. We then see something coming from the sky, taking a peek at them. Anne warns Lai Ping something is getting close. Suddenly, a beam of light comes out and something happens. Lai Ping is there coughing. When they look ahead, the knight appears saying, oh, sorry for making you wait. The wives seem to be all under some kind of spell, all sweaty and red. He comes all seductive saying, I was a little late. Forgive me, Miss Elizabeth. Can I serve you for the rest of my life? You can even sit on my back if you want. She just interrupts him saying, get out of my way. You're not even qualified to be my mount. Elf Gilia gets angry. You're arrogant, shameless woman. How do you treat my head cut off from one moment to the next? The elf died. Everyone's pupils shrink in shock. Some rocks start falling from the ceiling. When they look up, there are some insects coming down. Lai Ping asks, what's this? From the sky, what's coming is a dragonfly with Gelia's head already being swallowed. The creature stomps on the wall, then goes to bite Elizabeth, who just looks, and the creature explodes in front of her. Anne is crying scared. Lei Ping takes the opportunity to run and cling to the voluptuous queen. "You devil, look where he's going with his face," saying it's a matter of life and death. "Elizabeth, what are we going to do now?" Elizabeth takes a little look and thinks, is he trying to test human nature? Letting the selfish and arrogant ones die first by destroying themselves. Apparently that's it. The dragon fleas are flying back and forth. The muscle mummy grabs the carriage as Defense and Glee conjures a protection spell. Lei Ping asks, "And what are we going to do here?" The knight says, "I believe you'll find a way out on your own." His plan is to finally understand Elizabeth's strength, especially because if she does nothing, her servant will die. The muscle mummy stares at them and says, "Who cares about you? Cooperation's over here." Confident, Glee says, "Stay outside of our magic and die," but she's done too. Her head flies off. The dragonflies keep attacking. The assassin there is trying to survive, and the knight is even killing some. Meanwhile, our Lei Ping is hiding quietly. The knight uses a slash and thunder lightning cuts an insect right in the middle, and muscle mommy uses a shield attack, managing to kill one too. Even the assassin is managing to use her own techniques to kill. These three seem to be alive because of the banana they swallowed whole. However, the assassin is lying on the ground thinking, "There's no way we can kill these creatures. It seems endless. At this rate, we'll die from exhaustion." One is coming to take a big bite at her head, but the knight manages to save her. The creature falls all destroyed on the ground, but there are still several flying around. Elizabeth asks Lei Ping, "Do you see how they really are? Do you still want to play this adventure game?" Lei Ping shows that he is innocent but not a fool. He tells her, "Forget it. It's time to go separate ways," thinking this world outside is truly unpredictable. "Maybe staying on my farm in the village is the best thing to do." Elizabeth smiles. Look how he acts. First, he made them suffer. Then he determined if they had any value to deserve to be saved. And now this is the third step, abandoning them here. She looks at him and says, "Get ready to leave." He's confused. "Leave? Have we arrived already?" She says it's just ahead, and they start going. Then a creature comes to attack them. But Anne takes a look, and her little bear comes out punching and explodes the creature. Suddenly, her little bear turns back into just a bunny, and she's confused. "Hey, what happened?" Lei Ping turns around. "Hey, Anne, come on," she says. "Oh, okay." Elizabeth touches the wall, forming some waves, and says an incantation that opens the way. In front of them, a giant gate appears. Lei Ping says, "Wow, so the exit is this giant door that starts to open with a golden light." Elizabeth goes ahead, telling them to come quickly. From afar, the knight looks back, and our Lei Ping also looks at him. And he says to Anne, "Let's go." And with that, they're gone. The knight, who was facing the creatures until now, says, "Come on my back, and let's try to escape." The two look at him, and then the knight is going crazy, saying, "Damn, do they think they can just abandon us here like this?" But apparently the door has already closed. Inside, there's an immense amount of treasure. This room is on a floating island. The knight's wives manage to enter. Lei Ping is celebrating happily there with Anne. At that moment, the knight arrives and throws him aside. The muscle mommy does the same to Anne. He pauses for a moment there, staring and smiling like a psychopath, thinking, "The treasure really exists, the Demon King's nectar." Lei Ping says to him, "Now we're on equal footing. I don't want your gratitude, like you don't need to act like this either." The knight looks back and says, "Yes, you helped a lot, by completing the number of members we needed. With gratitude, I'll let you die quickly." But then a coin falls, and there's a golden eye in the middle of all that treasure. The room starts shaking, and a giant hand appears. A golden dragon emerges in the midst of everything, facing everyone. Lei Ping, sweating, says, "Elizabeth, there's a dragon there, my daughter, there's a dragon." Shaking her. Anne is trembling. There's something even scarier hiding. Her eyes turn black again as she says, "Master, what do we do now?" Elizabeth just observes this. The dragon lets out a roar towards everyone. The knight tells his wives, "You two buy me time. I'll prepare my strongest attack and kill him with a single blow." They agree, and the dragon gives them a swipe, and they go up. They manage to dodge the first blow. The muscle mommy tells the assassin to go ahead and draw his attention. She says, "Okay, leave it to me." She releases some origami there and uses a Naruto-style clone technique. Then she throws herself at the dragon. Seeing the situation, the knight thinks, "Now that this giant dragon is the only threat, I don't need to hide anymore. I'll gather all my energy and use my best move." Quick thunder cut, already charging up, getting all electrified. Lolo's clones are using assassination techniques, but nothing's happening. The plan was to use this technique to create a weak point, but it's not working. The muscle mummy says, "Relax, let me handle this." And she uses an explosive shield transformation, throwing the shield with some torpedoes straight up at the dragon, hitting its leg. She feels confident seeing it hit, thinking it worked. But the big dragon is just staring at her, intact. It raises its paw, she's confused, and then it crushes her. When it raises its paw, there's just her remains all crushed there. The assassin says, "Sister Gakshak, what happened?" She uses the Shout 1,000 Clones technique, and darn it, to be happy, I only needed 2 of these 1,000 in my room. She's confident that even if she can't cause damage, she can distract him. However, the dragon takes a look, flaps its wings, gathers all the coins, creating a sort of golden whirlpool. Her clones are all destroyed, and the tornado starts shooting the coins like bullets in every direction. The coins are flying, almost hitting our guide, but they're not hitting. Elizabeth looks at him and says, "Are you so calm? But that's expected of you, isn't it?" Li Ping is thinking, "Darn it, I almost died." The dragon keeps spinning. At that moment, Anne takes a look and activates the dollhouse invocation. But what appears is a giant bear in front of them. Now it's protecting them from the bullets. The assassin tells her clones to protect the master so he doesn't stop the conjuration. She manages to save him and is happy. The dragon takes a look and sends a bullet right in the middle of the forehead. Man, headshot. But at that moment, the knight finally completes his charge. Thunder cut 300%. He goes up saying that not even a spiritual demon could block it. However, when the smoke clears, it only made a slight scratch on the neck and his sword shattered. He looks at the broken sword, confused what's happening. The dragon once again takes a look, lashes its tail, and sends him flying, destroying the entire room. Now he looks at our trio. It's a 4-star golden dragon from the demon sect. Li Ping and Elizabeth are standing with their arms crossed. He says, "Elizabeth, the poor guy is thinking the centaur died from a tail lash. I think I'll have to use my trump card, right?" Elizabeth looks at him. "Okay, what are you going to do now?" Li Ping says, "You can act now." She's confused. What? Has he already figured it out? I don't know what, but there's a plot twist going on. Li Ping tells her, "If you don't do this, I think everyone here will die." Well, he'll die, right? That's why he's scared. Elizabeth angrily says, "Don't order me in front of other people." She's thinking he's trying to use my mount to threaten me. I can't believe it. While Anne is saying the real terror hasn't started yet. I don't think we're getting out of here. At that moment, Elizabeth puts her hand on her head and says, "Jinju's bloodline. Show me what this kind of magic is about." Anne's eyes activate that effect and some memories start appearing to her from the orphanage. From when she had dinner with the children to a day when she was sleeping, and when she opened her eyes, the woman was staring at her with a sinister smile. Next scene, those evil creatures went to the orphanage to attack everyone. She was about to be captured when suddenly the bear appeared on her back and all the creatures were killed. Unfortunately, the orphanage people had already moved on to the next life. Elizabeth realizes that Anne suppressed these memories with her own power. She extracts some energy from inside her head, saying it's foolishness. Poor Anne falls to the ground saying it's all her fault that she killed her brothers and sisters. She wants to apologize. Elizabeth is cruel. She looks to the side and says, "You are a disgrace to Jinju's bloodline. If you want to escape the prison of regrets, stand up and fight for me." Anne gets serious. Even though she's crying, she gets up, saying that at least this time she wants to save her brother Li Ping. Suddenly, she starts floating in the sky, forming a purple energy. Li Ping doesn't understand what's happening, but then she opens her arms and summons puppets. An eagle, a rabbit, a panda, and a snake appear. The dragon comes to claw at everything, but its paw plunges right into the panda's belly, which expands. And when it returns to normal, it's holding the dragon's paw. At that moment, the rabbit is already attacking, beating him up and breaking his neck. Li Ping asks, "Elizabeth, what did you do to Anne? Why did she change so much?" Elizabeth says she didn't do anything special, just made her accept reality. The rabbit is going up and Annie is now motivated. Smoke rises, and when everything clears, the little bunny is also clinging to the dragon's paw. Now the two are holding him. The snake then comes and starts wrapping around the dragon, crushing it. The dragon once again flaps his wings to summon that golden tornado. However, this time the eagle cancels out his tornado with hers. Li Ping, impressed, asks Elizabeth, "What's this Jinji bloodline thing about?" But suddenly he's pulled and thrown to the ground. They took a light cut. The knight appears almost dead. But he stole the fruit backpack and is saying, "Ah, now." Elizabeth looks, this trash isn't dead yet." Li Ping is shouting in the background, "Hey, give me my backpack back." He with a psychopathic look says, "Now your trump card is in my hand. All these kingdom fruits are mine. Eat the pineapple, eat the orange, eat the grape." Li Ping is confused. "What are you doing, man? Don't you think it's too late to eat now?" However, he swallows everything and starts emanating an aura, saying it's coming. His body begins to mutate, tremble and rolling. He goes crazy, getting mega muscular, saying he's feeling unprecedented power, and now his level is with a question mark. Staring at his own hand, he thinks, "Finally, with this power, I'm no longer afraid of those old men from the Holy Sword Guild." But the dragon seems to get angry and breathes a golden dragon breath in his direction. When it's about to hit, he disappears and is already next to his head saying, "Stop bothering me." He uses a thunder kick that makes the dragon stumble and fall to the ground. The centaur then descends and goes right to the middle of the altar to get the so-called Demon King's chalice. Looking at it, he thinks, "If I add this, I can't imagine how strong I'll become." Without hesitation, he swallows it and his pupils turn red. He once again begins to transform, wings sprouting from his back, and he enters demon form. He says that this sweet Demon King's wine is very good. It's gradually understanding everything. Anne is there in front and Li Ping says, "That guy is getting weirder and weirder. Elizabeth, do something, my daughter." Anne tells him not to worry, she won't let him get near brother Li Ping. She conjures a marionette spell, but the knight has already pierced her chest. Holding her in the air, he says, "First, I'll eliminate you who are a threat." Li Ping is terrified. The centaur throws Anne on the ground, coming towards them saying that the next one is him. Li Ping completely ignores the centaur and goes to Anne, telling her to hang in there. Elizabeth will save her. The centaur goes to Elizabeth's face and says, I know you're hiding your strength, but it doesn't matter. I'll give you two choices. You become my woman, take me to your kingdom, and make me inherit everything. Or the second option, I'll have fun with you until there's nothing left, and then I'll sell you to get what I want. Crying, Li Ping tells Elizabeth to kill him, but the centaur looks to the side. Who allowed you to open your mouth, you servant trash? He uses an ability to appear instantly in front of him and crushes him to the ground. An explosion rolls, coins everywhere. The centaur seems to have been hit. When the smoke clears, Li Ping says, okay then, I'm tired of pretending. Brothers, will you get serious? The centaur thrown back is lost and all beaten up. Wondering what happened? Wait, I hit him with all my might, but why does it seem like my attack returned? He looks at Elizabeth and asks, is it your doing? Elizabeth, staring at Li Ping, he knows very well that not even my magic can destroy his clothes. That's why you forced him to attack you, just for him to be the cause of his own destruction. Li Ping is there, all badass, thinking they say I'm the hero, but he thinks phew, it works just the way I imagined. As long as I give Elizabeth a lot of delicious food, she will protect me whenever I need it. As long as I'm useful to her, she won't let me die. No matter how dangerous the situation is, wanting to kill me is the same as wanting to leave her without food. There's no way our boy finds out he's too strong. The work ends on the spot, man. He's going to become a Saitama 2.0. The centaur says, truly unsettling. You're quite proud, but I only use half of my strength. Woman, you rejected a centaur as powerful as me. You could have had fun, but chose to reject me. Then he charges. So this is your choice then. Elizabeth remains calm. Midway as the centaur speaks, I want to see you reflect my next attack. Something's already coming from his left, hitting him hard, slamming him to the ground. Elizabeth looks to the side and asks, finally awake. The centaur is completely shattered on the ground and nothing left of the guy. From the shadows of that place, a golden dragon begins to appear. The centaur realizes that there is the true form of the dragon. What he killed was nothing more than some crumbs of power. He reabsorbs his old dragon body and Elizabeth says, using your tail to pet, I used to play with you like that too. It's the true void dragon, a golden dragon queen from the demon king's realm of the star. The centaur still doesn't understand. Impossible. I also have the power of a demon king that can't lose. But he is instantly crushed by the dragon's claw. Lying on the ground, Li Ping is confused. Elizabeth, is this real? Elizabeth says, I think you figured that out a long time ago. This place isn't real. Suddenly they're floating. Elizabeth says, despite magic being your weak point, I don't think this would escape your notice. The dragon speaks some unknown language to Elizabeth, who responds. Then he starts crying, asterisk, poof, asterisk, smoke in the air, and turns into a loli. Of course, there had to be one, Yugan Chinese. Her name is Amelia, and she's Elizabeth's pet. She cries, is it really you, queen? I've been waiting for you for so long. Elizabeth tells her, you have arrived in the realm of a demon king and are still so innocent. I didn't want to come here because I knew it would wake you up and you would start clinging to me. Amelia, hugging her, says, no, master, you disappeared for 500 years without a word. I miss you so much. We then see Amelia's story. She was born between heaven and earth, and it was Elizabeth with her magical energy who incubated the egg. When she was born, they made a contract, and Elizabeth not only gave her the name Amelia, but also created her personality, trained, and played with her. That's why Amelia has a sacred oath to serve her forever. When she grew up, she became Elizabeth's mount, carrying her around the world to face cruel creatures. This is because, to end the wars, Elizabeth decided to dominate the world. Amelia was happy to see her mistress achieve world domination, but she smiled less and less. Amelia knew the stronger Elizabeth became, the less she could help. And one day, out of nowhere, she decided to pull out the sacred sword and disappeared. At the race meeting, Elizabeth's absence is causing problems. Even all the reputation she had is now not serving much. The amount of crime continues to increase. The orc minister says that this is the case in their tribe too. Several are announcing separation as the only thing that unified everyone was the fear of the queen. The dwarf minister says that maybe it's good for everyone to return to their homelands and take care of the regions until the queen returns. Twyla, who is the minister of the elves, asks Jin, who is the minister of the demons, where's Elizabeth? You are the closest person to her. Was she defeated by the legendary hero? Jin says it's impossible. He has seen her terrifying power. There's no one in this world who can beat that. Everyone there can do as they please. From now on, he will go hunt the majesty on his own. Her former minion Malfoy says that this is the case too. He'll go after her. Everyone is dismissed. In the end, the ministers separated everything and divided their regions. Amelia wasn't interested in any of this, so she took half a cup of wine and left. She returned to the place where she was found the first time, hoping Elizabeth would return. And then she waited and waited and waited and waited, and now she's there crying. Finally, you've returned, mistress, Elizabeth says. It seems everything went well, right? This long wait taught you meditation, which was a key to reaching the level of Demon King. Amelia continues crying. Mistress Elizabeth, don't leave me like this again, please. Poor thing is thinking. She abandoned me just so I could understand meditation and increase my level. She really does everything for me. Li Ping up there trembling says, "Hey Elizabeth, stop dwelling on the past and save Annie already." At that moment, Annie opens her eyes and says, "Brother Li Ping, where are we?" Li Ping is relieved. "Annie, are you okay?" She says yes, but she reaches for the backpack, pulls out the apple he gave her, and the apple is all destroyed. Li Ping pets her, saying, "That's not a problem. Relax." Seeing the situation, Elizabeth thinks. From the beginning, he had already made this plan. The scenario was already set when he gave the bananas. Amelia is all cute, rubbing against Elizabeth, but she gets mad when she realizes the queen keeps looking at Li Ping. So she asks, "Mistress, who's that guy over there, huh?" Elizabeth says, "Him, he's the hero of legends. I stayed at his house while I was away." Amelia gets even angrier. "Hey, you," while she thinks, "the hero of legends? Did he kidnap my mistress for 500 years? And it seems he wants to take her heart. I need to end this now." Our smiling hero says, "My name is Li Ping. Nice to meet you." Amelia smiles and has a plan. "Now that I've reached the Demon King level, I can reach my mistress. If I join forces with her, we can kill the hero of legends." She already summons a Dragon King's claw and charges, saying, "Nice to meet you." It hits him hard in the chest and an explosion occurs. Poor thing is confused. What happened? He shut off her claw. Li Ping says, "Oops, sorry. I couldn't react in time." However, Amelia is puzzled. "My attack was strong enough to destroy a city and he canceled it like this." Li Ping reaches out his hand and says, "My turn to take initiative." Amelia is sweating, realizing he might be more oppressive than the mistress. Poor thing is there. "No, please." He takes her hand very gently and says, "Sorry for messing up your handshake." Now it's clear why Elizabeth is so calm. She has a polite friend like you. Amelia is confused. "Handshake? Friend?" Elizabeth says, "I mean, friend? You could say that too, but actually, she's my mount." Li Ping thinks, "Mount?" Already imagining one on top of the other running. Elizabeth then snaps her fingers and everyone appears outside. She says, "Enough of this for today." Amelia says, "Wow, mistress, you're so amazing." Li Ping is also impressed. "Wow, is it that easy to return? All I really have to do is stick to Elizabeth's thighs and everything will be fine." However, for Annie, the journey was too long and she faints on Li Ping's shoulder. Elizabeth tells Li Ping to take Annie to rest because she needs to talk to Amelia about something. And we're back home on the farm. Amelia asks, "What do you want, Elizabeth? You can give me any order. I really want to serve you." Elizabeth asks, "Have you heard of the Black Demon Guild?" Amelia ponders, saying she slept most of the time. And then she remembers. It's the guy called Malfoy, the former prince of humanity. Do you remember him? Elizabeth makes an effort and says she might remember. Amelia wants to know, "Wait, you want him and not me?" Elizabeth says it's not that. She heard that this Black Guild is killing people under the pretext of wanting to resurrect her. That's making her angry. Amelia gets angry. "Resurrect you when you're alive? That's disrespectful. What do you want me to do?" Elizabeth says, "You're going to make them disappear from this world without revealing any information about me or this place." Amelia only accepts. Elizabeth then says, "When you're done with this, I'll release you." Amelia says that a job given is a job done. And in her interpretation, doing whatever she wants is clinging to Elizabeth all night long. With that, she sets off motivated. But there's a missile heading her way that explodes in the sky. When the smoke clears, she's injured. Who attacked me? Realizing her skin is all scorched, she knows. It must be someone, at least in the sovereignty realm. Down below, Wankai is detecting a target. He raises the defense system to level 2. She's sweating cold. The missile comes, and she defends with her wing. She looks and asks, "You chose me to be your opponent? Wrong choice." But when she sees a barrage of missiles coming, the explosion covers the entire sky. Poor thing is all beaten up. Wankai analyzes again. Target detected as alive, increasing defense to 3. At that moment, Elizabeth shouts, "Stupid dog. She's my person. Let her go." The little dog is trembling. "Okay, I'll put her on the whitelist." Poor Amelia leaves thinking, "Damn place. It's terrifying. I want to get out of here." Inside the house, our hero is cutting oranges, making a delicious juice for Anne. He goes to her and says, "If you're feeling unwell, you can have this." She thanks him, takes a sip, and her entire cells begin to restore. Every bit of the fruit contains a huge amount of magical power. She's amazed. Is this sensation some kind of advanced divine magic? She reaches a clear state of mind and remembers the orphanage fair like a monster saying, "I am you and you are me." Stop suppressing your true self. Anne is crying there, lost, while Li Ping falls on the couch saying, "Indeed, a home sofa is the most comfortable." At that moment, Elizabeth enters, passes by her, and says, "Looks like you finally remembered everything, huh? You know your Jin clan ancestors always swore loyalty to me. If your bloodline woke up, the power of the oath also awakens." At that moment, Anne can see Elizabeth giant with her in the palm of her hand. Trembling, she asks, "Are you a legendary demon queen?" Elizabeth replies, "Yes, I am the commander of this whole world." Anne is confused, but according to the legends, you died with a hero. "Brother Li Ping, who are you?" Li Ping awkwardly says, "I'm ashamed to say, but yes, I'm the hero." Anne says, "Now I understand the whole story. It was like this, right? In the past, Li Ping and Elizabeth fought the final battle for the position of the most powerful. As a result of a month of battle, you began to like each other. After so much bloodshed, you gave up this fight to know who is the strongest and fell in love. And then you lived this secluded life for 500 years. Elizabeth says, that's almost the truth indeed. What Li Ping said is she got it all wrong. Elizabeth then changes the subject and says, as a descendant of the superior warriors of the demon bloodline, you're in this state. You're a disgrace to the demon clan. Li Ping is confused. Wait, is Anne from the demon clan? Anne is standing there without saying anything. Elizabeth says, it was 600 years ago, right? A child named Jin awakened the demon lineage. When his eyes shone red, his ability power and magical power increased greatly. However, as his power grew, he became more and more violent. Only death could satisfy him. In just a few years, he left the northern territories in chaos. Hundreds of my elite warriors were destroyed by him. His ambition grew so much that he came to the castle to challenge me. Obviously, he was easily defeated, and then she sealed his violent side. And with a loyalty oath, he has been serving her for generations. Trembling, Anne says, I didn't know any of this. My first memory, I was living in the church orphanage. The nun and the brothers were all my family. Elizabeth tells the truth. You killed everyone in the orphanage when you went mad. You couldn't accept reality, so that's why you kept thinking you were waiting for the nun to come back. Elizabeth thinks, with the power Jin has, you could have dominated the world in this time that I've been away. What's going on in that place? Anne is freaking out, saying, no, I didn't do this to my brothers. Li Ping says, Elizabeth, we met her brothers at the market, didn't we? Elizabeth says enough of that. She opens a visualization portal and says, let's expose the truth and see what these brothers of yours really are. When they look, they're all dolls. In Anne's interpretation, she really saw them as people. But clearly, that wasn't the case. Elizabeth closes the portal and says, do you understand? You're using your magic to sustain this bunch of dolls. That's why you're stuck at the mage level. Li Ping is confused, not believing it either. Elizabeth is cruel and relentless. To get rid of the Black Apostles, you activated your bloodline. However, you went mad and killed everyone. That's the truth you want to avoid. Anne starts going berserk Dragon Ball Z style with the purple aura. To stop this, Elizabeth flicks her forehead and she faints. Li Ping picks her up and Elizabeth says, I know you want to help her, but when she wakes up, if she triggers her lineage again, she'll destroy the whole city. But Li Ping says it's okay. They'll try to handle it. Back at the church, Anne is waking up. She gets out of bed and apologizes for being a nuisance again. Li Ping says it's no big deal. They used Elizabeth's teleportation. But how is she feeling now? Anne starts crying again, saying she can't believe she caused all those deaths. Li Ping says that's not the case. She was trying to protect everyone. She's not a murderer. However, Anne doesn't accept that. She says it's all her fault for losing control. But our hero says it's their fault for attacking and forcing you to lose control. So stop blaming yourself. Plus, there are still missing materials here. But she keeps crying, saying that the fact doesn't change. Li Ping interrupts her, explaining, when you made the dolls, the details were good. But you were so afraid of the cotton coming out that you made excessive knots. Because of the lack of quality, the dolls lost their spirits. But it's okay. I'll help you remake them. And he starts dismantling everything. However, Anne doesn't like seeing him destroying her brothers and starts going berserk. At that moment, Li Ping literally drops a line from Shakespeare. Do not wander under the tree, do not question under the rain, and do not cry in the darkness. Anne then wakes up in the middle of a lake confused. In the sky, a giant golden hand comes, and Li Ping finishes the sentence. Look forward and never back. As long as you have the courage to face it and keep your head up, you will realize that this mist was nothing but a little rain. The skies shine and Li Ping picks her up in his palm. At that moment, he made a doll that's an angelic child and says, this is the doll I remade for you, Anne. Its name is Rafal, the angelic doll. He hopes that will help her heal. Anne takes his hand, saying she's sure. It's the same feeling. These are her brothers. She sees all of them around Li Ping, who tells her not to worry anymore. And then they disappear, saying goodbye. Anne then once again breaks down in tears, saying she will protect the church. And our boy tells her that the sky is clear. He sighs. Phew, thank goodness I studied psychotherapy in those system books. Meanwhile, in the demon realm in the Swamp of Death, Amelia is flying around looking for the guy. Seeing everything destroyed, she says it's a shame what they did to her mistress's house. She then lands and a bunch of creatures appear, saying they want to devour her soul. However, in the blink of an eye, the creatures all explode. She wonders, why are they treating this place like a dump? She moves on, and a chubby baby mage comes out of a book, asking who she is and what she wants with the Black Guild. He's the sixth pillar of the guild, a 5-star demon. Then a room full of eggs incubating some demons appears, and in the guild hall of the Black Guild, there's a meeting going on. The leader says it seems like someone powerful is coming. One of them says that one of the troops was completely destroyed when invading the Saint's Guide. Are they coming to get revenge? A round and chubby girl says it's no problem. Someone named Kurtuz will handle it. The chief of staff asks the child if she wants to go there and have fun, telling him to shut up, while the tentacle guy says whoever can't reach them. But the master on the throne says he was afraid he wouldn't get the materials. Who would have thought what he needed would come right to his doorstep? It's Malfoy from the beginning of the work, just 500 years worse off. The chubby wizard with the pacifier who tried to stop Amelia is completely destroyed. He couldn't even react properly. He had stepped on by the dragon. It's over. A bunch of apostles appear, one of them literally being a girl carrying 6 balloons. They are confident they will kill her. However, she just activates the power of the Golden Dragon King. She lets out a roar that already blows everyone away. With that, she continues walking calmly. She arrives in front of a giant eye that underestimates her once again. She kicks and destroys it, and enters the boss's chamber. She sees Malfoy and says he looks horrible. Poor Malfoy is really finished, but he recognizes her. But in the blink of an eye, he's blown up in his seat. Everyone is frightened and doesn't understand what happened. Obviously, she just made a little dragon arm and squashed him. The finished Malfoy asks, "Why did you wake up from your sleep?" But apparently he has a reconstitution ability. Did you happen to find Elizabeth? She gets confused. Some tentacles come from the ground and wrap everything around her. Of course, those damn Chinese. The tentacle guy tells her there's no way she can escape. She asks escape. What do you mean? She bites, and the guy gets scared. She starts swallowing everything like pasta, and it's over. Poor guy for digestion. A mega curvy one comes from behind saying she surrenders. She joined them against her own will. She sends a little kiss that activates his seductive magic. And boy, she is seductive indeed. In front of Amelia, she says that since attacks don't work, she's going to make her a prisoner. However, Amelia burps up the octopus she had eaten and finishes her off. Another one comes to attack, was finished again. Now she's face to face with Malfoy. She asks if he's going to take his own life or face her. Malfoy says he can't face her. However, if he joins what's behind him, then it's different. When she sees in the incubation cocoon, there's an Elizabeth being produced.